talking about a grace-filled life, and how to have that grace-filled life, and how principle and science of mind ties into that. Also, I wanted to take some time to announce that we're really ramping up and preparing for January. So we're going to have Reverend Helen's going to be doing her class. I'll be teaching foundations, and we're going to have a year full of education. So that's always good news, and we're very excited about. So I didn't want to forget to mention that. Also, November 4th, we have a double hitter. We have Kay, who's a practitioner and got her start here, actually. She's at the West Valley. She's doing the talk and sound bowl healing after church on after the talk on November 4th. And then Celia, November 2nd. Sorry, I apologize. Thank you for the correction. And I'm ahead of the days. But I just wanted to let you guys know so you can bring a friend, make a plan, because we got that fabulous doubleheader. Thanks to Jackson, he's brought Celia here, and we know that everybody loves her, and she will have a concert on Saturday night as well, and we'd love to fill this place up for her and really give her a great big CSLP welcome. So I think that's all the announcements. Let me move this before I trip over it. But outside of that, let's get started with our talk. And I wanted to start with Ernest Holmes' quote here. So grace is not something that God gives. It is the nature of God itself. So grace is the rhythm, the natural rhythm of spirit moving through all creation. And without effort or condition, it's not earned. We can't bargain for it. It's not withheld. It simply is. Our task is not to chase grace, but to recognize it. Grace is revealed to us through our hard work, and you don't have to do hard work for grace to reveal itself. But because often we believe that we do, it usually is revealed through a very trying circumstance, a challenge, and it comes as a revelation as opposed to an understanding or an education. So grace usually reveals itself when we are really looking inward, trying to understand ourselves or maybe something that we've created because it's our life and we are responsible for it. So opening with this story, the river and the rock. There once was a woman who carried a heavy stone everywhere she went. Carved into that stone was, "Be strong, be good, be enough." She believed her worth depended on carrying that stone well. One day, weary, she came to a wide river. She believed her worth depended on carrying this stone, and sitting by the river, she wept because the stone became so heavy. The water shimmered like lights made of liquid, and she set the stone down for a while and whispered, "I've done all I can. I'm tired now." The river replied, not in words, but in knowing and understanding, "Child, I have been flowing beside you all along. I never asked you to carry the stone. I only asked you to let it go." She lifted the stone, kissed it, and placed it in the river. The current received it easily, joyfully, carrying it away. And she realized grace was never something she needed to earn. It is what carried her all along. So grace is what carries us through our human experiences. Grace is what reveals to us very sharply sometimes what we're believing. We have our subjective inner presence that is your natural state, and it is who you are. And then we have our objective world, which we create through our beliefs, ideas, and mainly your life and is who you are, not necessarily what you believe. So grace reveals itself in times of, I am sure it can reveal itself to you in times of great joy, but we don't really call out in times of great joy. We call out in times of great sorrow and in suffering, or in relationship issues or job issues, or we need a house, we need a car. And we are trying to understand, specifically by coming to a place like this, how grace works and how it fills us up. Grace is the natural rhythm of the divine. Grace is the current of life itself, the unseen intelligence that holds planets in our orbit. It makes our heart beat. It's our intuition. When we surrender our resistance, things that once felt happy begin to move. Unhappiness begins to move with ease. So I know for me personally, because I'm human and I struggle with things, I have a lot of people in my life that help me. I meet with a lot of people to help me look, to help me see, to help me understand. And one of the stories recently was I was really trying to understand this relationship. And for me, I'm always looking inward. How am I responsible? How did I do this? How did I create it? And sometimes it does not allow me to set the necessary boundaries because there's a part of Tracey that likes to roar. And so part of my dynamic is to keep that roar in, which is not authentic living. And so by grace, when you inquire enough, the grace is the message that comes that opens the door for you to see and have a revelation or a revealing that changes the direction in which you go. It is the fire that burns all false discordance away. So for me personally, I was meeting with Reverend Darlene, and I was talking to her about some challenges that I was having, and she's like, oh, what we have here is some needs not being met. And I didn't quite understand her at first. I was like, It caught my ear, though. Something catches your ear. You're like, well, there's some Spirit's got something there for me. And she continued with, let's go down an I deserve list. What is it that you think you deserve? And oddly enough, at first I was like, oh, here we go again. We're going to talk about spiritual stuff, and I just want a pragmatic answer. Just give me the answer, please. And so she was running off these things, and I was writing them really fast. Like, I deserve my beautiful family. I deserve a beautiful leadership group. I deserve a phenomenal board, which I have. I deserve, to have become a minister. I deserve, and I thought, oh, that's so interesting, because before when I talked about I deserve, it would be more like, I deserve it, why don't I have it? And now it was a revealing of, oh yes, I deserve that as a essence or an answer or a surrender. And I knew that because it lifted my heart instead of making me feel uncomfortable. It made the hairs on my arm stand up as it revealed to me that I could say, you know what, I do deserve that. And what came after that was, oh, you didn't think you did, because there was still that story of I'm not good enough. And the reality is we are good enough. You're good enough. I'm good enough. And grace, when we inquire to it and we listen intently, shares ways that are specific to you and your personality on how you can hear it. So it usually comes for me through reading a book or Instagram, because I like to scroll, or TV or something, right? That some little message captures your attention and it just plays with your mind. It ruminates in there and you're like, oh, why is this sticking like glue? And then grace starts to reveal to you a bigger and broader message. So I heard Matthew McConaughey has this beautiful book out called Prayer. I ordered it because I don't have it yet. I happened to see this. And Stories in Prayer, I think. I'd have to check on it. But in this, he has this, he was meeting with Gail and Oprah, and he was meeting and sitting down talking about his book, and she said, I really love this poem called The Better Man. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. Now, I'm not going to repeat the poem to you. It's not a very long one, and you should check out the book because I was scanning through some videos that he was, and it seems like a beautiful book. But in this particular case, he was talking about a better man is harder to be than a nice man. A nice man is a pleaser, woman or man, and they do things to please and to avoid difficulties, and sometimes they find themselves in situations where they're trying to be nice and please, and they don't understand that they're creating their own issue or problem. A better man makes the hard choice, has to stand firm, and it can be quite difficult to be the better man, but the better man stands for something for himself and for others. And I thought that was so interesting. And it stood out to me. When I was in banking, I used to compare myself to all other managers and go, I want to be a nice manager. I wanted to be nice. And when I heard this poem, it healed this old story that I have. You have to be nice. You can be the better woman or the better man and still be kind. That truth reveals through love all that needs to be said. And when grace is the revealer, it is heard in the manner and intention that it is supposed to. When it is nice, grace isn't so much there. Grace is always there, but we're using our ego personality not to offend, and we're not telling the truth. We're hiding in essence. So grace not only reveals the truth about you, but also what you want to say and that you deserve to say it. And when we come to it through surrender, it can be heard in the intention that it was meant. When we surrender resistance, that thing that pushes and pulls, the things that once felt heavy begin to move with ease. So grace is the mover grace does the hard thing. It reveals to you the deep-seated belief that you might not be conscious of. I know I talk to a lot of people and I'll say, could we possibly have a situation where you're not feeling enough? And the first thing I usually hear is, no, I think I'm enough. I'm enough. If you've ever met with a practitioner or you've ever had a session, you might hear a practitioner, once they get to know you and in a kind way, say, sometimes when we don't think we're enough, the outward manifestation is this. And I, again, always most often hear, no, I'm enough. That's not it. And by the resistance or the pull that you're onto something, but they haven't seen that in consciousness yet. They haven't had the revealing. Grace has brought this relationship together for a revealing. So much like the stone, we carry these false beliefs, these discordant facts, these ideas about ourselves, and we go out into the world to try to change the world, but we don't look inward to have grace reveal to us that it's just a slight change of the camera angle to see the reality of what's going on, and that you don't have to be unkind towards yourself or towards others, that it's just a discordant thought or an idea that is ruminating, something someone told you that you believed about yourself, and grace is the fire that burns that away to reveal to you that you are the great and beautiful presence in human form, and all it wants to know is to get to know itself. It wants to experience life through you, through this body-mind that it has created. So as we inquire into grace, an honest question is, if grace is everywhere, why does hard things still happen? Grace does not erase contrast. It transforms our relationships. Even in hardship, grace is the stillness that whispers, I am here. It's not punishment. It's the presence that redeems what the mind calls unfair. It's tied to a principle, divine presence. There is one life, and that life is God, and that life is our life now. And if that is true, then it proves that grace is always at work revealing to you. And sometimes when the pressure gets enough, the revelation comes and it opens our consciousness, expands our consciousness to see the reality in a new way, and it just calms you down and something shifts, but you're not really quite able to explain to you how it shifts. Like, I could spend time telling you how this story shifted in my mind, but it was just a slight shift that I felt in my heart, but couldn't really be able to explain to you in words. It was a truth that was revealed to me, and that I recognized in that moment that grace revealed it to me, because the change in here needed to happen in a way that opened up my heart to reveal the I deserves in a whole new way. And when the I deserves come to play, right? So we have deservedness and we have desire. So desire is Spirit's idea for its own incarnation. And I deserves come from, you deserve it because you are Spirit creating it. And then the manifestation or the outward world is the idea in form. So if we don't like the idea in form, then we must go back to our original thought. And we must look at that and tear it apart and ask why. Grace is a revelation, not a rescue. Grace is a revelation, not a rescue. It opens our eyes to what was always true. Love has never stopped flowing. If we inquire into grace as the recognition of truth, we see that if grace is doing everything, what about my free will? What about my roles? Well, grace doesn't remove free will, but it partners with it. We are the channels through which grace expresses, and our responsibility is to align to it, not control. When we align to grace, when we recognize from the inside out that, yes, I truly do deserve that, not because I'm Tracey, not because I'm a minister, not because I'm a boss, a leader, a mother. I deserve it because I am. I am that. And so are you. You deserve all the good, as Emma Curtis Hopkins, blah, 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 blah. As Emma Curtis Hopkins says, there's good in the world and you ought to have it. Do you know why you ought to have it? Because you are that. You are the presence itself. And what happened is we have this misidentification with our personality that makes up all kinds of crazy stories. And, that's the nature of the mind. The revealing of your truest and highest self has to come as a revelation to you, because I can't give that to you. I can talk about it. I can point. You can go to a practitioner. You could take a class. But the direct experience revealing comes to you through an inquiry. That is grace revealing itself and expanding and opening your aperture of consciousness so that you have a better feeling about you and why you're here. And then that magnetizes your nature and you draw all of those experiences of the new idea to you, hence an affirmation. And an affirmation is very interesting because we can say them, and we often do, and sometimes when we say them, we're like, oh, that's so beautiful, I want to embody that. But if we don't take time to tear it apart, look at it, define some of the words, and really find out why that's true for you, it will miss. Grace isn't missing. We miss it. And the revelation of it, and it never stops. My teacher, Reba, used to say, don't worry about it. Go back out there. There's 5 more experiences you'll have that show you the same thing. So you can't get it wrong. That's the first thing, is you can't get it wrong. There's nothing for you to do. You already are that. And somewhere along the line, we stopped believing it, and we weren't even conscious that we stopped believing it. We're just knowing that something doesn't feel right, that something feels crooked, discordant, and no matter how good things are, I just want to be happy. Somebody said something to me yesterday about they're in relationship, and they said, I got everything I want. You're the woman of my dreams. I have the house, I have the kids, I have the blended family, but I still feel unfulfilled. So we get everything. It brings us this temporary happiness. But the full fulfillment is the revelation of grace that happiness is your true nature, and that all of the things that you desire are brought to you and you deserve them. And they do bring a certain sense of happiness. But when you look out and you start to see that everything you ever wanted is already here and that you are drawing it to you by the new and higher belief, then there's a reason to do the work. And grace is revealing to you through that. So for me, the better man was, it's, not leadership isn't always easy. Being a mother isn't always easy. We have children. Oh, I would like for anyone to tell me that being a mother is easy. It's joyful sometimes, but it is the hardest, one of the hardest jobs I've ever done. And the hardest thing is when your kid wants to watch 8 hours of YouTube and you kind of want to let them because it gives you a break, but you know that it's not mentally healthy for them. So you have to take it away and then deal with the, and you're like, who told me this was fun? I don't know. But there's this beautiful thing that happens. You know that you are teaching them a series of lessons in principle when you can connect and then direct, but you can't do that unless you believe it about yourself. Children are the greatest teachers of grace. The greatest teachers of grace. Just sit with my 3-year-old while he cries for an hour. You'll see that grace is the greatest teacher. Grace is the marriage of desire, deservingness, and consciousness. This was the biggest revelation that Spirit gave me this week in researching this talk. When desire is pure and it's not a craving, it's Spirit longing to express through us. When deservingness is realized, we open to receive without apology. I don't have to apologize to you for thinking that I deserve something wonderful, because you know what? You do too. That's how we're the same. Me deserving it doesn't take away your deservedness. Me wanting a beautiful whatever doesn't take anything away from you. This is the story, I believe, about Jesus and feeding the masses, is that, this idea that if I give it to you, I don't have it. No, you deserve it, and so do I. And through that deservedness, we can celebrate one another, and I can hold that light for you. But if I believe in lack and limitation, and you get something, I'm going to be kind of jealous. That's a key that we're a little off track, right? But as a practitioner, they hold the light to the truth. When they hear jealous tendencies, they know you're just off track with a discordant thought because someone taught you if you don't have it, blank. That's up to you to fill in. But when you unapologetically know that you are that spirit and form, that there is only one life, when we release the illusion of separation, grace reveals what has been true all along, that you are deserved unapologetically, I can't say that word, everything you ever wanted. And guess what? You're getting it whether you like it or not. That's grace. That's the law. Grace uses the law to show you that it's always working. I love that grace is a revelation. And once I saw that for myself, you cannot unsee it. And it lifts your spirits. It lifts your mood. It lifts your belief and confidence about yourself. And Spirit reveals itself to you more when you're confident. Spirit reveals the higher wisdoms to you when you are confident that you are able to carry it and that you believe in yourself. But if you are not confident, you probably or may not hear it, and there might be just a little bit more self-work that needs to be done, but only in the spirit of revelation. If grace is doing everything, and the principle attached to it is oneness, all life is one, then the affirmation can be, I see through the illusion to the wholeness of what's already here. When desire is pure, and it's not a craving, the Spirit longing to express itself through us does. When deservedness is realized, we open to receive without apology, once again. When consciousness is uplifted, the law of mind acts in perfect harmony with it. Perfect harmony means you get exactly what you believe, exactly what you believe, exactly who you are, and whether you like it or not. And sometimes that can be quite painful, and we get stuck there because we're like, what am I doing? Why am I responsible for this? What do I need to change? And we start changing for the other people, but not changing inwardly to have a different experience. When we have the revelation, you have to do nothing outside of yourself. It changes automatically because you've opened up a new level of consciousness. You've taken on a new belief, which must manifest a new reality, a higher, a better reality. And you know what? It doesn't matter because this is life and something's always happening, and so you're going to be able to improve it time and time again. When desire is pure, deservingness is realized, and consciousness is uplifted, the result is effortless creation, which is grace in action. Say that with me, grace in action. That's how it moves in your life. That is what's beautiful. We move from need and want, which come from fear, into desire and deserve, born of faith. The moment we stop trying to earn what is already ours, life unfolds easily, beautifully, and guess what? Gracefully. And when we inquire to that, how will I know when I'm experiencing grace? Well, you'll have that aha feeling. The hairs on your arms will stand up. Grace often feels like the quiet shift from striving to trust. Doesn't that sound beautiful? Striving, I'm doing it, to trust. Peace replacing panic, forgiveness softening your heart, timing aligning perfectly. And what we call coincidence is often grace simply unrecognized. I love that. I love that. I've always wanted a definition of coincidence in a broader way. My desires are holy. My worth is certain, and so is yours. My consciousness is clear. Grace creates me effortlessly. I don't have to pay attention out there. I just have to do what grace commands me to do. And if it is telling me to treat and move my feet, then I must trust that I'm going in this action. And my mind must see the desired outcome as a deservedness. I deserve this outcome. We deserve as a community to be financially whole. We deserve to be full. We deserve to be flowing over. We deserve everything that we get. And as we as a community take this idea on for ourselves that we are worthy because we are, that rolls into our community, and the community expands and grows and energy changes and shifts, and we fall in love with one another. And there's going to be push and pulls because we're people, but we find the way to move through those things effortlessly and easily because we know the secret of law. And that's what this is built on, and that's what sometimes, me included, lose sight of. And it's so beautiful when grace shows it to you once again. If grace meets me where I am, why practice? Well, spiritual practice doesn't earn grace. It clears the receptors, perception, meditation, prayers, and stillness, polish the lens through which we see reality. And we don't practice to attract God. We practice to recognize our own nature. You are the nature of God. And sometimes that light is dimmed and our awareness seems small. But when the revelation comes that you deserve it, unapologetically, you are worth it, and a new way of viewing that comes and it hits you, you will see that no work to do out here, it's to do in here. As Jackson's song, imagine, pause, insert grace. Your job is to see it, believe it, feel it, and to recognize why you think you're unworthy of it, and you can tell that you have a feeling of worthiness when you go to I deserve or I desire and you can't come up with anything. I've been there too. And when it changes, it is so profound. It is so profound, it moves you to a new way of being. Grace is the presence that meets you where you are. Grace doesn't wait for perfection. You do not have to be perfect. You already are. It meets us exactly where we are. It sits with us in confusion, exhaustion, and even resistance, and whispers, you're still on holy ground. Grace is immediate, it is intimate, and it is unconditional. When we accept what we already are worthy of, grace doesn't have to find us. It reveals it never left. If grace meets me where I am, then the principle to that must be love. Love is the self-givingness of spirit, the ever-present current that meets every condition with compassion and wholeness. Affirm with me, grace finds me here, as I am, and carries me into the greater good. In a closing reflection, a grace-filled life is not about control or perfection. It's about awareness, receptivity, and trust. When we release the stone of striving and rest in the current of divine love, which you already are, we realize we were never apart from grace. We were simply learning to see it. And that reveals our humanness. And closing in prayer with this idea. I release the stone of striving and rest in that current of divine grace. I am the flow in which all things move. I surrender myself to the river to take away all discordant ideas that there is not enough, that I am not enough. Fear, lack, and limitation are erased by the prophetic realization that you deserve to have a life filled with grace, love, abundance, joy, happiness. It reveals to you that you need nothing added unto you, that you are full exactly as you are. And these words dispel any discordant thought for any problem that arises, for any ideas of lack or limitation. We go back to principle. There is only one. There is only one mind, and that mind is God's mind, and God's mind is my mind right here, right now. And that mind reveals to me my divine perfection and essence is ever present and overflowing. And when I forget, grace brings me the outward manifestation to turn my little behind around and put me back on the path of the truth. And it sets you free into the principle of freedom. I release these words knowing that Spirit has given them to Spirit by Spirit for the greater revelation of its beautiful essence, grace. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, life. Thank you, love. I release it and I know it. And so it is.